Good afternoon, Manisha. Can you hear me? And can you see my PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, thank you. So, until others join, we can start the lesson because today is little bit rainy. So, I think it's good to start the lecture on time. Then we can complete the full session, and because we have 6 sessions to cover, we have 6 weeks to cover the entire content. So I thought I will start the session by 2:30 and until so others can join meanwhile. So so what I ask you to do is I ask you to go through this recording because I have done a recording yesterday related to this lesson and I have uploaded to the drive. So as soon as I finish the first session, the morning session, I ask your coordinator to share that recorded file with you. Hope you all have go through that. And here, the lesson we have discussed in the recorded session. So, in this object-oriented concept, basically we have components to understand this entire subject, this entire uh, lecture series basically developed based on these few components, and we consider these are the most essential things in object oriented programming or programming. So here, that is what I wanted to discuss these things at the beginning. So as usual, we have a few uh, theory parts to discuss. Most probably next week we will finish the theories and then we will slowly start the practicals. But to do practicals, to understand the practicals clearly, you should have this knowledge, right? So that is why I ask you to go through the recorded file and then come to the live session. But no matter if you haven't done that part, surely you can go through the recorded file and you all can understand the core concept. So this is lesson 2, and I have discussed what is object-oriented programming and what is the basic concept behind this. What are the 4 principles we used in this subject, and then we have discussed about the objects, and we have taken few examples for these real-world objects, and we understood how we apply the same concept into the real world. So, like that, we have discussed so many things related to these object oriented concept. And then in my recordings, I have introduced something called classes because when we practice this object oriented programming and when we do this object oriented programming, we usually deal with classes. We have something called class. Inside a class, we have objects. That is the concept we usually discuss through this lecture series. So I ask you to create few classes and objects like this, and hope you all have done that. You all have gone through the recorded file. So this is where I wanted to start from this lecture, from this lesson. So consider this is the second week, part 2 lesson, right? So when it comes to objects and classes in object-oriented programming, as the name suggests, we talk about objects and classes. Objects are the real world things, real world entities we consider when we implement this practically. So, how you understand or how you recognize the objects in the outside world where you can collect data. So, if you can collect data under particular domain, under particular thing, we consider it as an object, right? So, then when we put similar objects together, we concern it as a class. The සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි මේ object oriented concept එක practically implement කරන්න යනකොට අපි මුලින්ම බලනවා objects කියන්නේ මොනවද කියලා. objects කියලා කියන්නේ මොනවම හරි දෙයක් යටතේ අපිට data collect කරන්න පුළුවන් නම්. For an example, you are you asked to do you asked to develop library management system. දැන් අපි ඔක්කොම යන්නේ library management system එකකට software එකක් හදන්න, program එකක් හදන්න. දැන් එතනදී මේ වගේ දෙයකට ඔයා software එකක් හදනකොට මුලින්ම කරන්න ඕනේ library management system එකේ ඉන්න objects identify කරගන්න එක. The first thing you have to do is you have to understand the objects in the library management system. So how you understand the objects, you think what are the areas we can use to collect data. Now guess and tell me, in a library management system, what are the areas you can take to collect data? What are the areas we usually collect data? Give me a few examples from your side. Right. So I will tell you. Now, if it is a library management system, what are the areas we use to collect data? Let's take books first because books are the most important element in a library. So, if we take books, we have details to store. We have so many books in the library, and under book, we have to understand the book name, ISBN, title, issue date, number of pages, version. So, those kind of things we need to consider, which means around book, we have to collect data. So we have things to collect data around book. දැන් පොතක් කිව්වට අපි ඒක ඒ කියන්නේ පොතක් කියලා කිව්වට දැන් පොතේ විස්තරත් අපි දැනගන්න ඕනනේ. මේ පොතේ ටයිටල් එක මොකක්ද? මේක අයිති වෙන කැටගරි එක මොකක්ද? මේක ඉෂුව කරේ කවද්ද? author කවුද? So we have to understand these kind of details when we deal with library management system. So now we can take object, we can take book as an object. And the next thing is, let's take staff members. To handle all these books, to issue books, to do all these things, we should have a staff in the library management system. So under staff also you have to collect data. දැන් staff එක කිව්වහම ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ නම, ගම, වයස, කොහේ ඉඳන්ද ආවේ, address එක, එයා ගන්න පොත, එහෙම නැත්නම් එයා කරන job එක. You have to record all these things in a library management system. Like that, wherever you want to collect data, no matter it's a live or non-live thing, you can take it as an object. පණ තියෙන දෙයක් වුණත් පණ නැති දෙයක් වුණත් ඒ යටතේ data collect කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් අපි ආව object එකක් විදියට ගන්නවා. For an example, let's take buildings. So in your school, you have 10 buildings. But under each building, we have something to record. Building name, number of floors, what is the purpose of developing that building. So like that, you have some details to collect. So like that, if we have anything to collect under certain category, we consider it as an object. And then what is classes? We take same kind of objects and we put these objects together, we name it as a class, right? So if in a library, we have a section called novels. So in that section, we have novels. So these are same types of books. So we put all novels in a one specific place and we give the label novel class. Like that, we take similar objects, we put all these things together and we give it as a class. So that is the main difference between object and classes. So I just wanted to refresh your knowledge if you haven't gone through the previous recorded file, but make sure to check that, go through that because it is very essential. And I have discussed all these things in the recorded file. So here, when we demonstrate these kind of objects and classes in these diagrams and all, we usually use this kind of notation. So this is how we use this kind of notation. So if this is a class, we divide this into two. දැන් ඇත්තටම අපි මේ වගේ දේවල් ප්‍රැක්ටිකලි ඉම්ප්ලිමන්ට් කරන්න ගියාම අපිට මේවා අඳින්න විදිහක් තියෙන්න ඕනේනේ. අපිට ලයිබ්‍රරි මැනේජ්මන්ට් සිස්ටම් එකේ ඒ විදිහටම අඳින්න බෑනේ. ඒ නිසා අපි කරන්නේ මේ හැම එකටම සිම්බල්ස් කියන දේවල් යූස් කරනවා. ඒ වගේ ක්ලාස් එකක් අපි රිප්‍රසන්ට් කරන්න පාවිච්චි කරන එක සිම්බල් එකක් තමයි මෙන්න මේ සිම්බල් එක. rectangle symbol එක. So we draw a symbol like this. And then we divide it to 3 like this, right? So this is the class name. And then we have another section. Here finally we have another section. We have 3 sections in this notation. So we dedicate first section to write the class name. If we are talking about books, buildings, trees, whatever the class, you can write the name here. And then here we write the data. In the previous recorded file, I told you, if it is an object, we have to collect data around that. දැන් ඒක object එකක් නම් එයා යටතේ අපි data collect කරන්න ඕන. Right? So we have some criterias to collect data. Those criterias we write here, right? And then I told you if it is an object, it should have a behavior or action. And we dedicate third section to write the action or the activity it performs. So this is how we demonstrate these classes using an object. So we have these private, public, protected. I have a separate lesson for that. So I will teach all these things in detail in that section. So now again, you can refresh the difference between classes and object. If it is a class, it is a description of the common properties of set of objects. Class එකක් කියන්නේ එක වගේ objects ගොඩක එකතුවක්. එහෙනම් ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ common properties තියෙන්න ඕනේ, common behaviors තියෙන්න ඕනේ, common attributes තියෙන්න ඕනේ. So we called it as a class. And then what you mean by an object? A representation of a single instance. මේ class එක ඇතුලේ තියෙන එක instance එකක්, එක දෙයක්, එක සිදුවීමක් තමයි අපි object එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ. Right. So you have classes and objects. I hope you got the difference between classes and objects. Right. So now here we have something called method. මම recording එකේදී ඔයගලන්ට කිව්වා දැන් අපි object එකක් නම් එයා object එකක් කියලා හොයාගන්න එයාට ප්‍රධාන දේවල් දෙකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. එකක් තමයි එයාට state එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. State කියන්නේ එයා යටතේ data collect කරන criterias. ඒ වගේම එයාට behavior එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. එයා කරන දෙයක්. අපි ඒක තමයි මේ method එක කියලා use කරන්නේ. So it is what we call as method. Later, I will explain all these points for you while I'm using this in the practical code. And then these are another ways that we write these methods. So this is how we declare a code, right? So these were the three slides that I wanted to explain you from the lesson 2. So, but we will take all these slides in future lessons, and you can refresh your knowledge with all these topics and slides, because we are using same thing again and again when we do practicals, right? So do you have any questions from this slide to understand before I explain the next set of slides? Yeah, we have done day 1, day 2. So today we will be doing day 3. Anything need to clarify from the recording or the things we have discussed recently? Right. So it seems you don't have anything to clarify from the previous session. So we can start the new lesson, lesson 3. So this is the last theory lesson we are going to discuss before we start practicals, because from next week onwards we will be doing practicals and we will more focus on practical things, but at the same time we will take some theories and we will discuss, right? So here what we are going to discuss is we are going to discuss Java, because Java is the programming language we are going to practice in object-oriented programming. So you might wondering, what is this Java? What is this object-oriented programming? What is the relationship of these two? Yeah. So programming is the activity or the process we do to develop computer programs. And when we do this computer programming, we have some concepts to practice, concepts to use. Like that, we have a concept called object-oriented programming. So in object-oriented programming, we use real-world objects in order to do the implementations. So that is what we do in object-oriented programming. To do the programming, we have a concept called object-oriented programming. Not only object-oriented programming, we have several concepts in the market. But especially when we give real world solutions, real world applications, then we should go with object oriented concept. So object oriented is a concept. It is a concept. To do this concept practically, to implement this concept practically, we need programming languages. So under object-oriented programming also, we have several programming languages. So here we use Java because Java is very popular and Java is very strong still in the market. It is one of leading programming language. So if you can practice Java in your program, it is an advantage for you. It will give advantages in future. So that is why I decided to use this Java to practice this object oriented programming. මේ object oriented programming කියන concept එක practice කරන්නේ programming language එකක් හරහා. ඒක apply වෙන්නේ කොහොමද? ඒක වැඩ කරන්නේ කොහොමද? මේ ඔක්කොම අපි දැනගන්නේ programming language එකක් හරහා. ඒ වගේ අපි use කරන programming language එකක් තමයි Java කියලා කියන්නේ. Java වලට අමතරව C, Python ඔක්කොම programming languages, object oriented programming languages. හැබැයි අපි මෙතන පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ Java. මොකද Java තමයි ඕනම කෙනෙක්ට programming languages ඉගෙන ගන්න හොඳම language එක. ඉගෙන ගන්න විතරක් නෙවෙයි දැන් මේ Java programming language එක introduce කරේ ලෝකෙට මට මතක විදිහට 1995 වල. දැන් 1995 කියන්නේ ගොඩාක් ඉස්සර. සමහරු ඉපදිලත් නැතුව ඇති ඒ වෙනකොට. ඒ කාලෙදි මේක introduce කරාට අද වෙනකම්ම ෆීල්ඩ් එකේ ඒක ලීඩින් ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑමින් ලැන්ග්වේජ් එකක්. Java දන්නවා කියලා කියන්නේ යාට ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකේ මාරම තැනක් තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා අපි මේ Java කියන ලැන්ග්වේජ් එක තමයි ඔයාට මේ concept එක practice කරන්න තෝරගත්තේ. Right. So throughout this subject, throughout this lesson, I will be talking about Java and I will introduce Java to you and I will show how to install Java, how to set up the Java environment. So first we are going to check the birth of Java. So as I told you, in 1995, Java introduced to the world. So this introduced by a group or a team called Sun Microsystem. So this is a team, this is a group in USA. They have done experiments regarding the existing programming languages and they have introduced this Java to the world in 1995. So now this Sun Microsystem changed their name to Oracle. If you check their official website, you will see their name as Oracle. But those days they have used the word microsystem. So that is the group's name, company's name. They are the one who developed this programming language to the world first. And originally there were no word called Java. To introduce this Java, they have used the word awk. That is the one they have used at the beginning, awk, O-A-K, right? And who is the person who dedicatedly worked to introduce this programming language? It is James Gosling. So James Gosling is the person who introduced awk or a Java programming language to the world. At the beginning, they used these programming languages to develop software consumer electronic devices like TV, VCR, ECT, but nowadays we have a wide range of applications in Java. Before Java introduced to the world in the market, there were programming languages like C, C++. What these group done, they have done the experiments for existing programming languages like C, C++, and they have understood that there are some issues to address. There are some problems to address. With that, they have introduced Java programming language to the world. So that is how new programming languages come. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අලුතෙන්ම programming language එකක් එන්නේ ෆීල්ඩ් එකේ ඉන්න අය එක්ස්පෙරිමන්ට්ස් කරනවා තියෙන programming languages ගැන. ඒවයි තියෙන issues, ඒවයි තියෙන එතකොට අඩුපාඩු. දැන් ඉස්සර තිබුණේ මේ Java එන්න කලින් C කියන programming language එක. ඒක පාවිච්චි කරලා ඒකේ තියෙන issues ඒගොල්ලන්ට පෙනුණා. ඒ issues address කරන්න ඒගොල්ලෝ අලුත් programming language එකක් ලෝකෙට introduce කරා Java කියලා. So that is what they call as Java. So they have done few experiments to the existing programming languages and they have introduced Java as a new programming language to the world in 1995. In Java, we have some similar features which we can see in C, C++. But when it comes to Java, we have new features as well as we have the existing features. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මේ අලුතෙන් programming languages එනවා කියන්නේ අර පරණ තියෙන සිටුේෂන් එකේ දේවල් ඒ විදිහටම පාවිච්චි කරනවා සහ අලුතෙන්ම මොනවා හරි දෙයක්ත් ඉන්ට්‍රොඩියුස් කරනවා. අන්න ඒ වගේ අපි Java කියන programming language එක ගත්තාම ඒකේ C කියන programming language එකේ තියෙන සමහර features උත් තියෙනවා. බැලූ බැල්මට සමහර සයන්ටිස්ලා කියනවා මේ දෙකම එකයි කියලා. හැබැයි මේ දෙක වෙනස් කරන සමහර differences උත් තියෙනවා. Right? So that is about the birth of Java programming language. And when it comes to Java, they have introduced this Java first time to the world using this mascot. So this is the very first thing they have developed using Java. So this is an animated cartoon. When someone click on this cartoon, it will show some animations, right? So they call this as Juke. So Juke is the first official mascot of Java. Java පාවිච්චි කරලා ඒගොල්ලෝ මුලින්ම ඉදිරිපත් කරේ මෙන්න මේ Juke කියන පොඩි icon එක. ඒක cartoon character එකක්. මම මේ screen එකේ ඔයගලන්ට පෙන්නනවා වගේ. එයාව touch කරපු ගමන් එයා පොඩ්ඩක් අර animations එක move වෙනවා. So that was the first implementation, first application they have developed using Java. So that is the thing you need to understand here. And here you have the timeline, right? So now once they introduced this Java in 1995, they continuously done experiments for that. They continuously test the Java environment and they have introduced new things in each year, right? So in 1994, the Green team developed a web browser called Hot Java. මේ Green team කියන්නේ Sun Microsystem එකේ හිටපු team එකක්. ඒගොල්ලෝ තමයි Java කියන එක හොයාගත්තේ. company එකම එකතු වෙලා නෙවෙයි. company එකේ ඉන්න එක team එකක් තමයි මේ Java කියන එක ලෝකෙට ඉදිරිපත් කරේ. So what happened in 1995? Green team developed a web browser. දැන් සමහරු හිතනවා Java පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ mobile application development විතරයි කියලා. නෑ. So Java we can use for web development as well. So this is the very first example that we can give. In 1995, they have introduced a web browser and they have developed that web browser using Java. They called it as Hot Java. And then what happened in 1995, they had to change the name Awk to Java because there were some legal issues, and with those legal issues policies they were unable to use this word awk furthermore, so they decided to change the word to Java. So in 1995 they have renamed this word to Java. And then in 1996, the company introduced a new thing called Java Development Kit. So, what do you mean by Java Development Kit? If someone wants to do the Java programming, Java coding, so they have to set up the Java environment in their computer. For an example, if you want to code Java, if you want to practice Java without this Java environment, it is difficult you to do the coding. Codes are not working. So what we have to do is we have to download and install Java in the computer, right? So now we have that facility. So what in 1996 happened, they have introduced that package. They have developed that package and they have give it to the people who want to work with Java. So that package they call as Java Development Kit. ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් ඕනම කෙනෙක්ට Java කෝඩ් කරන්න බෑ. ඒ කියන්නේ අපේ කම්පියුටර්ස් වල Java නෑ. අපි Java කෝඩ් කරන්න නම් Java download කරලා install කරන්න ඕනේ. මොකද මේක programming language එකක්නේ. Programming language එකක් day to day life එකේ පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ නෑ. ඒක practice කරන කෙනෙක් එහෙම නැත්නම් ඒක ඕන කෙනෙක් විතරයි මේ programming language එකක් පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ. ඉතින් මේ Sun Microsystem එක මොකද කරේ? Java ඕනම කෙනෙක්ට පාවිච්චි කරන්න ලේසි වෙන්න ඒගොල්ලෝ හැදුවා පැකේජ් එකක්. මේ පැකේජ් එකේ ඒගොල්ලෝ ඉන්ක්ලූඩ් කරා Java කෝඩ් කරන කෙනෙක්ට තියෙන්න ඕනේ හැම දෙයක්ම. ඒක ඉන්ක්ලූඩ් කළා ඒගොල්ලෝ ඒක අවශ්‍ය අයට දුන්නා. එතකොට පළවෙනිම පැකේජ් එක ඩිවලොප් කරේ 1996 they called it as JDK 1.10. Sorry, 1.0. And then in 1997, they have introduced JDK 1.1. So like that, they have done experiments and each year they have introduced new versions. Then අපි iPhones ගත්තාම now we have iPhone 17. So but those days we had iPhone old version. So what they are doing continuous experiments and they introduce new features with new versions. So here also the Sun Microsystem have done the same thing. They have experimented and they have introduced new things with the JDK environment. So in 1996, they have introduced JDK 1.2. 1999, they have introduced something called J2SC. 2000, they have introduced JDK 1.3. Like that, you can see they have done so many experiments. Now we have, I think, JDK 25. Yes. So when I when I taught these things for the previous batch, we have used Java 24. Yes, in the same year, we have used Java 24, but last month they have introduced Java 25. You all can use Java 25. And then the important thing is 2011, they have changed their name into Oracle. Sun Microsystem කියන අය ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ නම වෙනස් කරා කම්පැනි එකේ නම 2011 දී Oracle කියලා. දැන් ඔයා search කරොත් Oracle කියන තම නම තමයි ඔයාට හොයාගන්න පුළුවන්. So that is the evaluation or timeline of Java. So I wanted to show you how it started and how it came to today's level. So now we have Java 25 version in the industry and it's freely available. No need to pay. We can freely download and freely install Java in your computer. Right. Any questions from your side? Anything need to clarify? Right. So you don't have any questions to clarify. Right. So here, this evaluation, the history is not much important for your exam. Usually, uh, I will not target any questions from the history because this is just for your understanding. Because when we practice a new programming language, when we practice a new concept, we need to understand how it came to the world, right? And how about the evaluation? So I have given all these information just for your understanding. So you can remember this as a story, right? So no need to remember the exact year, the exact thing they introduce. I won't ask any questions related to timeline or evaluation in the final exam. So this is just for your understanding. So now this is very important thing. Definitely there will be questions for the final exam, for the midterm exam under this topic. Features of Java. What is the importance of studying these features? Because you should have the knowledge to pick the most suitable, most appropriate programming language for particular problem. That ability you can take by referring these features. So if you know these features and if you know how these are working in the practical world, definitely you can explain why you have chosen Java as the programming language. දැන් ඔයාට නම් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් practically මේ දේවල් ඇප්ලයි කරන්න තැනක් එන්නේ නැති වෙයි මොකද software developing කරන කවුරුත් නැහැ. හැබැයි ඔයාගෙන් කවුරු හරි ඇහුවොත් ඇයි ඔයා මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳන්න Java පාවිච්චි කරන්න කියලා මෙන්න මේ features ටික ඔයාට අරගෙන explain කරන්න පුළුවන්. So even though you have practiced this or not, we need to understand these features because these are the most important features in Java. We choose Java, we use Java because of these features. The first feature is both compiled and interpreted. So I will give you 2 to 3 minutes to quickly go through this slide and understand it by yourself. Then I will explain it to you. Right. So the very first feature, both compile and interpreted. So when you read the slide, you may encounter some issues because all these words are technical words and new words for you. What do you mean by compile and interpreted? So when it comes to this programming language, we usually type a programming language in somewhere. Let's assume you are using something like Word. You know what is Word, MS Word document. So you type the code there and then you need to check the output. So behind ATM machine, behind website, behind softwares, behind games, we have these kind of codes. So what you do is you write the code and then you check the output. So before you check the output, your code go through two steps. What are those two steps? We have the compilation and we have the execution. These are the two steps we usually go: compilation, interpretation. Before we check the output, we should go through these two processes. Then what is the problem in Java? The problem in Java is it's not a problem actually, it's an advantage. In Java, we have both compilation and interpretation together. මේ දෙකම අපිට Java වල කරන්න පුළුවන්. So then what other programming languages? In other programming languages, we don't have that facility. If we do compilation, then we have to take another tool to do the interpretation. If we do interpretation, we have to take another tool to do compilation. So it's a huge problem. As a solution, they have introduced Java because in Java we have these two features: interpretation, compilation. I hope you got the idea. So in Java, we have both compilation and interpretation. So what is compilation? What is interpretation? Before we check the output, before we see the output, we have to go through two steps. So we can't see that physically, but it is available inside the code. You write a code when you click on execute. When you click on execute or run, it usually go through these two processes: compilation and interpretation. So the problem in other programming languages is in those programming languages they have two different application for this. Python වලත් අපි compile කරොත් execute කරන්න වෙනම tool එකක් පාවිච්චි කරන්න ඕනේ. execute කරොත් compile කරන්න වෙනම tool එකක් පාවිච්චි කරන්න ඕනේ. Right? So that is what we call as compilation and interpretation. And here we have a small diagram to understand how this coding works. So here you can understand what is compilation and interpretation. So let's assume this is where you write the code, right? So this is where you write the code. Let's assume you are using MS Word. I hope you all know what is MS Word. ඔගොල්ලෝ ඔක්කොම දන්නවා කියලා හිතනවා මොකද්ද මේ MS Word කියන්නේ කියලා. So you use MS Word to type the code. So line by line, you type the code. We called it as text editor. අපි text එක ලියන්න පාවිච්චි කරන tool එකට තමයි text editor කියලා කියන්නේ. Then what we do, we save that file using Java. දැන් ඔයා දන්නවා ඔයා Word document එකේ මොනවා හරි type කරාම ඔයාට ඒක doc එකක් විදියට save කරන්න පුළුවන්, PDF එකක් විදියට save කරන්න පුළුවන්. You have several options to do. Right? So here what you are going to do, since you are working with Java, you are going to save it as a Java file. So we have to save the file using .java. And then we are going to work with compilation and interpretation. So as I told you earlier, if we want to check the output, we need to go through compilation and interpretation. So why we do this compilation and interpretation? Because we write the code in English language, not the perfect English, but we use something like English like language. Why we use English like language? We can't understand the machine language. So if we want to communicate with the computer, we should convert everything into zeros and ones. But practically, computer can understand this, but us it is really difficult. So what we use some high level computer programming languages, and then we convert it to zeros and ones. So when we do this compilation, it convert your code into a byte code is not the perfect uh, perfect machine language. It is something intermediate level before the machine language. So what we do in compilation, we convert our code into a byte code. Then in the interpretation, we convert this byte code into a machine code. That is why we need compilation and interpretation. දැන් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි කෝඩ් එකක් ලියන්නේ මොකක් හරි ටූල් එකක. දැන් ඒවට වෙනම ටූල්ස් තියෙනවා. තාම මම ටූල්ස් ඔයාට ඉන්ට්‍රොඩියුස් කරලා නැති නිසා තමයි මම එක්සාම්පල් එකක් විදිහට MS Word කියන එක ගන්න කිව්වේ. MS Word කියන්නේ අපි ඩොකියුමන්ට්ස් ලියන්න, රිපෝට්ස් ටයිප් කරන්න පාවිච්චි කරන ටූල් එක. දැන් ඔයා හිතන්න ඔයා ඒකේ කෝඩ් එක ටයිප් කරනවා. මොකක් හරි ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එකකට කෝඩ් එකක් ටයිප් කරනවා. ටයිප් කළා ඉවරුනාට පස්සේ ඔයාට ඕනේ මේකේ අවුට්පුට් එක බලන්න. ඒක වෙබ්සයිට් එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, කැල්කියුලේෂන් එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක මොකක්ද කියලා බලන්න ඔයා මේක රන් කරන්න ඕනේ. දැන් ඔයා සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කෝඩ්ස් ලියන්නේ high level language එකක් පාවිච්චි කරලා. ඔයාට මතක නම් අපි කලින් සතියක කතා කරා කම්පියුටර්ස් වලට අපි කියන ලැන්ග්වේජ් එක තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. එයාට තේරෙන්නේ මැෂින් ලැන්ග්වේජ් එක විතරයි. මැෂින් ලැන්ග්වේජ් එක කියන්නේ zeros and ones. එයාට ඒක තේරුණාට අපිට ඒක පාවිච්චි කරලා කමාන්ඩ්ස් ලියන්න තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක හරිම complicated. ඒ නිසා අපි ඉන්ට්‍රොඩියුස් කරා high level languages කියලා අලුත්ම දෙයක්. ඒකෙන් අපි ඉංග්ලිෂ් වගේ වචන පාවිච්චි කරලා කම්පියුටර් එකට ඉන්ස්ට්‍රක්ෂන්ස් දෙනවා. එයා ඊට පස්සේ ඒවා කන්වර්ට් කරගන්නවා මැෂින් ලැන්ග්වේජ් එකට. දැන් අපි මෙතනදි කරන්න යන්නේ මොකද්ද? අපි ලියපු කෝඩ් එක අපි අර ඉංග්ලිෂ් වගේ ලියපු කෝඩ් එක අපි මැෂින් ලැන්ග්වේජ් එකකට කන්වර්ට් කරන්න යනවා. ඒකේ පළවෙනි ස්ටෙප් එක තමයි කම්පයිලේෂන් කියලා කියන්නේ. කම්පයිල් කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ ඔයා අර ඉංග්ලිෂ් වගේ ලියපු කෝඩ් එක බයිට් කෝඩ් එකකට කන්වර්ට් කරනවා. බයිට් කෝඩ් එක කියන්නේ එක්සැක්ට්ම මැෂින් කෝඩ් එක නෙමෙයි. හැබැයි ඒක ටිකක් මැෂින් කෝඩ් එක වගේ. මැෂින් කෝඩ් එකට සමානයි. ඔයාට මම එක්සාම්පල් එකක් පෙන්නන්නම්. right. මෙතන තියෙනවා බයිට් කෝඩ් එක. මේ බයිට් කෝඩ් කියලා කියන්නේ ඔයා ලියපු කෝඩ් එකේ අර බයිට් කෝඩ් එක. ඔයා ඉංග්ලිෂ් වලින් ලියපු කෝඩ් එක කන්වර්ට් කරා බයිට් කෝඩ් එකකට. එතකොට කොහොමද ඒක වෙන්නේ? කම්පයිලේෂන් එක කරපු නිසා. ඊට පස්සේ අපි තව එකකට යනවා. ඒක තමයි එක්සිකියුෂන් එක. එක්සිකියුෂන් එකේදී තමයි අර ඔයාගේ බයිට් කෝඩ් එක fully zeros and ones වලට කන්වර්ට් කරන්නේ. ඔන්න ඒක තමයි මැෂින් ලැන්ග්වේජ් එක. දැන් ඔයාට තේරෙන්න ඕනේ අපි ලියන කෝඩ් එක කොහොමද කම්පියුටර් එක තේරුම් ගන්නෙ. අපි ලියන කෝඩ් එක අපි කන්වර්ට් කරනවා zeros ones වලට. ඒකේ ස්ටෙප්ස් දෙකක් තියෙනවා. එක ස්ටෙප් එකක් තමයි එක ස්ටෙප් එකක් තමයි කම්පයිලේෂන්, අනිත් ස්ටෙප් එක තමයි එක්සිකියුෂන්. එතකොට දැන් මේ Java වල තියෙන විශේෂත්වය තමයි මේ දෙකම Java වල තියෙනවා. සමහර programming languages තියෙනවා ඒවයි දෙකම නෑ. එකයි තියෙන්නේ. අපි කම්පයිල් කරොත් execute කරන්න බෑ. Execute කරොත් compile කරන්න බෑ. So what is the advantage of using Java? We have both features in this programming language. So that is the first feature you should understand. And the second feature we are going to discuss is platform independent and portability, right? So now take 2 to 3 minutes and go through this slide and try to understand what is platform independent and portability before I explain it to you. So this is the second feature. So second feature talk about platform independent and portability. So as I told you in the very first day, so in first generation and second generation, they have introduced computers, and those computers are specially not computers actually, those computer programs are specially designed for specific processors. So if we have like 10 processors, according to those 10 processors, we had to write 10 computer programs. So it was really complicated and really difficult to perform practically. But now we have very advanced features, advanced programming languages. No need to worry about that. We can do this computer programming in any platform. No matter what is the operating system you are using, no matter what is the processor you are using, no matter what is the device you are using, you can simply use this Java programming language for each and every platform. It is very convenient. The only thing we have to do is we have to download this Java freely and we can install it into the computer. Then, no matter the operating system, processor, device, speed, you can use Java for computer programming. That is what we call as platform independent and portability. Right. So this is the next important feature. I have discussed this thing in the recorded session. In there, I have deeply discussed what are these object-oriented concept. So since we are using object-oriented programming language and Java is object-oriented programming language, so we have these features in Java. So why we select Java as an object-oriented programming? Because in Java, we can see these object-oriented features are there. So what are the object-oriented features we have in Java? We have the abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. So as I told you in the previous session recorded file, so if we want to practice object-oriented programming, we have to practice these four principles. These are the four pillars. These are the four strands of this object-oriented programming. Since Java is an object-oriented programming, we use these concepts, we practice these concepts in Java. So what are the four object-oriented concepts we have? We have the abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. So right, sorry for the disturbance. So what do you mean by abstraction? So abstraction is the process of representing essential features without including the background details. You know, when we practice this object oriented concept, we basically practice these things. We basically use these things. So, what do you mean by abstraction? It is the act of representing essential features without including the background details. මේ abstraction කියලා කියන්නේ අපි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට දැන් මේ කෝඩ්ස් එක්ක වැඩ කරනකොට කෝඩ්ස් එක්ක වර්ක් කරනකොට එතනදී බෑග්ග්‍රවුන්ඩ් ඩීටේල්ස් තියෙනවා අපි හයිඩ් කරන්න ඕනේ ඒවා හැමදේම අපිට කෝඩ් එකේ රිප්‍රසන්ට් කරන්න බෑ. එතකොට මෙමරි එක වේස්ට් වෙනවා, ටයිම් එක වේස්ට් වෙනවා. ඒ නිසා අවශ්‍යම දේවල් විතරයි අපි කෝඩ් එකේ රිප්‍රසන්ට් කරන්නේ. We called it as abstraction. And then we have something called encapsulation. The easiest way to remember this encapsulation is you can remember a medicine capsule. So when we take a medicine capsule, we have medicine inside that. So when you open that medicine capsule, you can see the medicines inside there. Same way we apply into this encapsulation. We put data methods into the class, into the single unit and we wrap it. We called it as encapsulation. Then we have inheritance. So inheritance is the process by which objects of one class acquire the properties of another class. So we have one class, as I told you in the recorded file. So the very practical example is we inherit some features, some things from our parents, right? Same way, when we apply this into code, the some classes inherit things from the parent classes. So we will practice these things in future. So then you will realize what are these. So then we have the polymorphism. Polymorphism is the ability of an object to exist in many forms. So we called it as polymorphism. So these are the four object-oriented pillars, object-oriented concepts we use. So if it is object-oriented programming, definitely we have to practice these things. So we have chosen Java because in Java we have all these features, right? The next one. Yeah. To explain these features, I have taken a small example. What is for dinner? So it is the question I ask. So if I ask you what is for dinner, you would tell food. So behind this answer, you have certain things to do. So you have to go to a food city, you have to purchase items, then you have to cook, then you have to pay the bill, so you have to bring them home. So like that, you have certain things to do behind this answer. So that is what we call as abstraction in object-oriented concept. So behind this, we have all these activities, but we can't see them, right? So it is very practical example for abstraction. Then the distributed. So distributed or distribution is Java can create network applications. So even though it is not Java, we can connect those application features into Java. So that is another very popular practical example for Java. It is distributed. Java can create network application. It can share both data and programs. So what we do here, we have a computer here, we have a program here. So we communicate with all these things, right? Sorry. So here we have computer 1 and then computer 2, computer 3, computer 4. These are 4 computers and 4 programs are running here. So what we do here, we communicate with all these things. So this computer communicate with this communicate with this communicate with this communicate with this, and these two also communicating. So we called it as distributed. And then the robust and secure. So when we do implementations, like when we develop computer programs practically, security is one of most important thing we need to consider, because always we need to establish the security. If someone can hack easily, if someone can steal data easily, if someone can breach the data, no point of developing that kind of computer program. ඕනම කෙනෙක්ට ඕන වෙලාවක log වෙලා data ගන්න පුළුවන් නම්, hack කරන්න පුළුවන් නම්, එතකොට breach කරන්න පුළුවන් නම්, without permission එයාලට අපේ data use කරන්න පුළුවන් නම්, no point of developing that kind of system, right? So we called it as robust and secure. Right. So the next important feature is multi-threaded. So what do you mean by multi-threaded? It can handle multiple tasks simultaneously. Java supports multi-threaded programs. We need not wait for the application to finish one task before beginning another. At a given time, Java can handle multiple activities, multiple tasks. It is very important, and it is very required thing when we select when we select a programming language for particular thing. So here also we have that feature, we called it as multi-threaded. So which means we can run different tasks simultaneously. සමහර programming languages තියෙනවා ඒගොල්ලන්ට මේ feature එක නැහැ. එතකොට එකක් run කළා බලන් ඉන්න ඕනේ අනිත් එක run කරන්න. එහෙම නැත්නම් එකක් run කරනකම් තව එකක් queue එකේ ඉන්න ඕනේ. So it wastes time, it wastes the memory, so it is not efficient actually. So instead of that, we have this nice programming language. So here we can use Java for those kind of things. And seven, high performance. So when it comes to Java, it is high performance programming language. So even though it is introduced in 1995, still we are using Java. Still, it is one of the most popular programming language in the market, because it has the C features, and at the same time, new features they have specially introduced for Java. So because of this high performance, we use Java. And then dynamic and extensible. Java is a dynamic language. We have new libraries, methods. We can dynamically implement Java according to the given situation. And Java support other programming languages as well. So we can combine Java or Java programs with other programming languages. So it make always our life, our coding life very easier. So these are the 8 features of Java. Please go through these features and understand what they are telling, because definitely there'll be question for the final exam, mid exam, from these features, because this is one of most important thing you should understand before selecting Java for your programming. And then we need to discuss about Java and the internet, the relationship between Java and internet. So when it comes to Java, people think that Java is not a good programming language uh, with the web and internet related application, but it's not true. Java is very popular with mobile application development. At the same time, Java is very good with web development and internet related application. For an example, as I told you, their first implementation, their first introduction is Hot Java. So Hot Java is a web application they have developed. So Java is strongly associated with internet application, and we can use Java to develop these internet application. As I told you, the very first web browser to run applets on the web Java is Hot Java, right? So then about the popularity of this programming language, because before we choose this as the programming language to practice, you should understand the popularity. So you should understand why we selected this as one of programming language to practice. So here, if I ask you a question like this, what are the most popular programming language? So what would be your answer? Tell me, what is the most programming language in the market? Yes. The honest answer is it's depend. We can't tell this is the most practical programming language, this is the most suitable programming language. We can't tell like that. The honest answer is it's depend. So it's depend on the environment, it's depend on the requirement. So we have to consider all these things before we choose a programming language. So here, this according to a research in 2015, they have presented Java as the most popular and number one ranked programming language. In 2014, also happened the same thing. Uh, yeah. So still Python is one of popular programming language, but we can't say it is the number one programming language. Among 10 popular programming languages and frequently used programming languages, obviously Java is there. So you can do a small research and you can understand uh, how about the popularity of Java. So here now we are going to install Java, right? So let me show you how to do that first, then I will come back to the lesson. If you have a desktop device or laptop, you can start doing this installation with me. Or else, if you haven't this desktop or laptop to practice, you can write down the steps, right? Whenever you access to a device at your school or wherever, you can practice this thing. So the very first advice that I want to give you is Java is not available in our computer. So if we want to use Java, we have to install it to computer. So how you install it? You can go to the web browser and then click on, let's go to Google, right? Right. So in Google search engine, you can type download Java because we are going to download Java and then press enter. So here we have few options. Always go to the Oracle website because this is their official page. So click and go to Java Oracle. So if you want, I can give you the link. Right. So, right. And then you can scroll down. Here we have the JDK version. So you can choose the operating system you are using. So if you are using Windows operating system, you can click on Windows. And then here the second option, 64 installer is the thing you should download. You can click on this link and it will automatically download the file. Right? If you are using Mac operating system, you can download the installer from here. I hope you all are using Windows operating system. So you can click on Windows and you can go to this middle option, the second option, and you can download. Right? So downloading process is easy because it's freely available. Freely they will give you the access to download the file. So now here I have the downloaded file. So you can open it like this. Once you download it, you can see the downloaded file in download section. Then double click on the downloaded file. It will open and it will install step by step. The installation process is not a big task. What you have to do is you have to go through step by step. Right, this is very easy. Installation process is very easy. මම already install කරලා තියෙන්නේ. නිසා මම ආයි install කරන්න යන්නේ නැහැ. ඔයාට තියෙන්නේ මේ download කරපු file එක double click කරන්න. එතකොට next කියන options ටික දීගෙන ගිහිල්ලා අන්තිමට finish කරාම automatically මේක install වෙනවා. මේක ලොකු process එකක් නෙමේ. හරි ලේසි. හරි simple. මුකුත් ඔයාට choose කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. ඔයාට තියෙන්නේ next කියන එක press කරගෙන ගිහිල්ලා ඊට පස්සේ installation එක finish කරන්න. So once you have done the installation process, what you can do is you can check whether you have done it correctly. So how you check that? You have to open the command prompt and you have to type a command for that to check whether Java is available in your computer. So how you do that? You can go to the search bar and search bar you can type CMD. So I'm using a Mac device. So in Mac devices, the appearance and commands are a little bit different. So in Mac, we have a terminal. So it is what we use to open the command prompt. The same thing, but we have a different name. So you can type and open command prompt like this. දැන් අපි Java install කරගත්තට පස්සේ අපි බලන්න ඕනේ Java හරියට install වෙලාද කියලා. කොහොමද ඒක බලන්නේ? ඔයාට ඒක බලන්න command එකක් type කරන්න ඕනේ. command එක type කරන්නේ අපි command prompt කියලා එකක. දැන් command prompt එක තියෙන්නේ Windows operating system වල. මං හිතන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඔක්කොම Windows operating system පාවිච්චි කරනවා ඇත්තේ. එතකොට ඔයාට කරන්න තියෙන්නේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඔයා ඔය Word, PowerPoint search කරන්නේ ඒ වගේ search bar එකට ගිහිල්ලා CMD කියලා type කරන්න. capital උනත්, simple උනත් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. එතකොට එයා command prompt එක ඔයාට option එකක් විදිහට පෙන්නනවා. command prompt එක double click කරලා open කරන්න. දැන් මම පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ MacBook එකක්. ඒ නිසා මගේ operating system එක පොඩ්ඩක් වෙනස් ඔයාගේ operating system එකට වඩා. දැන් මම command prompt එක වෙනුවට මේකේ පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ terminal කියන එක. මම search bar එකට ගිහිල්ලා CMD වෙනුවට terminal කියන එක type කරලා මම ඒක මේ විදිහට open කර ගන්නවා. Right. So now hope you all have opened the command prompt and you are going to check whether you have installed Java. So now you can type Java, C, not C, Java space minus version. So this is the command we use to check whether Java is installed successfully or Java is available in your computer. So what we have typed, Java, keep a space, minus version. Then you can press enter. So now you can see they have shown me 24 and Java details. So which means I have successfully installed Java. ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ඔයා මේක pen ඔයා මේක මේ type කරාම ඔයාලා 25 version එකේ මම මේ ඉස්සර පාවිච්චි කරපු version එක තියෙන්නේ. Right? So I will type the command in the chat. Right. Where's the chat? Where's the chat? Yeah, here it is. You have to type Java space minus version. Right. So this is the version, right? So first you have to install Java. Once you've done the installation process correctly, then you can check the Java version, right? So if you receive this Java version details, then which means you have successfully installed Java to the computer. But in case if you receive a message like Java is not recognized as an internal command, which means you haven't done the installation. What you can do is you can again download, install Java correctly, then it will fix your problem. මේක ලොකු complicated දෙයක් නෙවෙයි. මේක හරි ලේසි. Java කියන තැනට ගිහිල්ලා Java download කරලා ඒක install කරලා බලන්න ඕනේ අපි හරියට Java install කළාද තියෙන්නේ කියලා. ඒක බලන්නේ කොහොමද? අපි ගියා command prompt එකට එහෙම නැත්නම් terminal එකට. ඊට පස්සේ එතනදී මේ command එක type කරා. අපි type කරන්නේ Java underscore version, right? So that is the thing you should type to check the version. Java space minus, right. So that was the thing you have to do. to check whether you have installed Java, right? So you have to install Java, otherwise we can't work with Java, right? But no matter if you don't have a device or computer, if you are using a school computer or school desktop, please go there in a free time and download this Java and install it into computer, right? So now we have done the first step. With that, we have a next thing, the second step to do. Second step is we have to install the IDE tool to type this code. The IDE we are using is Notepad++. So if you want, you can use Notepad++ too. So when you search for Notepad++ in your computer, it will come. It's freely available. But the problem is to practice these kinds of code, it is difficult to use Notepad. So I thought it's good if we can use Notepad++. Notepad++ is still not an industry level thing. So it is just for understanding these programming languages and all. So what you have to do is go to Google, type Notepad++, and then you will receive their official link, the very first suggestion. You can click here, then it will take you to the download page. So then you can always go with the latest version, right? And then you all can download it from here. So you can scroll down. Here we have the download button, right? So you can download this and it will automatically download Notepad++. Scroll down little bit. Yeah. Here we have the installer. When you click on installer, this link, it will automatically download. I will give you the link to download. Right. So this is the download link. Right. You have to go to Notepad++ and then click on this installer option. So once the downloading process completed, double click on this installer, then it will open and install to your computer automatically. So you have to do these two steps leisurely. Next week also I will show you how to do this, and then you can do the installation process and set up the Java environment and this editing environment in order to type code. See, this is very easy. So we are practicing a very popular and very famous programming language, but the environment setup process is very easy. The only thing we have to do is install Java and install Notepad++, right? So that is the thing I wanted to share with you. So this installation process I will take again in next week, and I will show to you how to do that. Most probably next week we will start some practicals, but no need to do the environment setup compulsory. Um, I will introduce the code and we will take time for that. Right. So do you have anything to clarify from your side regarding the today's lesson? Right. So if you don't have any question, I'm going to wind up the session. So thank you for your participation. Please participate for the next class as well, because we are starting practicals. If you miss at least one single class, then definitely you will mess up everything. So definitely compulsory participate for all classes, because we are going to start practicals and all, right? Thank you very much for your participation. Have a nice week, and goodbye, all of you.
Thank you, ma'am. Same to you.